Thanks for joining us. Our coverage of the final round of the Northern Shore Open begins now.
It may not be the most physically demanding, but golf is not an easy sport to master. Something about the way the body must contort to successfully crank a ball down the fairway takes real skill to put into practice, and for some, it's just not going to happen the way they imagine. But like few other games can, PGA Tour 2K25 takes much of the mental work of swinging a club from real life and executes it virtually. It's in-depth simulation gameplay that lets your thumbs and brain do what a stubborn human body simply refuses to do, and it looks good doing it. Looking back at PGA Tour 2K23, it definitely wasn't the worst golf game ever, but it lacked any shine in its personality and gameplay, which came as a surprise at the time considering HB Studios has been dutifully working on successful golf sims like the Golf Club for well over a decade. Couple this with the fact that, unlike most sports games, PGA Tour 2K took 2 full years to put out a new iteration, it was safe to say expectations were in check.
We've got about 110 yards to go here.
It didn't take long for PGA Tour 2K25 to flaunt its improvements though, especially in terms of appearance. While it still can't quite match EA Sports' rival PGA Tour game head-to-head in their respective visual recreations of golf, the difference is nowhere near as stark as it had been. Player models look much closer to their real-life counterparts, courses are more detailed, and animations are crisper. The putting and driving animations are also fluid, no longer stopping abruptly after contact or feeling too weighty. Performance is smoothed out as well, and the only time it hitched on PlayStation 5 was due to internet connectivity issues. Yes, even the single-player career mode is always online, so there were a few instances where my shot would stutter, and even a couple of times where a round didn't save at all. The main blemish on the look and feel of PGA Tour 2K25 is the low-energy commentary team of Luke Elvey and Rich Beam. While they're both very knowledgeable and describe approaches and conditions beautifully, their lines could not be more flatly delivered. Golf isn't the most exciting sport, but there's no need to sound like a robot when discussing it.
This is going to challenge players mentally more than physically because the shots they hit aren't always going to turn out in the best of spots.
They also seem to have a vendetta against you. Do any worse than getting on the green in 2 or birdie putting, and Rich Beam becomes Bob Barker berating Happy Gilmore as the worst golfer around.
This guy sucks.
Other than that, it's pretty much all good news. For example, it's clear that HB Studios prioritized features that the community has been begging for. The most notable additions revolve around approaches, with the ability to change tee position and choose your hazard drop shot. It might seem like a small detail, but not being able to adjust position after a water hazard or move the ball at the tee for a better angle made for some of the most frustrating shots in 2K23. Another big change is that My Player development has become an RPG system that allows you to unlock specific shots as you go, making your growth in the My Career campaign customizable to your specific strengths. Skills in the 6 trees vary from advanced shot types like the Stinger, which is ideal for dealing with high wind situations, to proficiency boosts, which help buff each shot. You'll also be able to choose from 4 different archetypes, like the Powerhouse, who focuses on driving down the fairway. That helps you determine what kind of base stats you want to start My Career with. The intro is great for getting comfortable with the new Evo Swing mechanics, which focus on proper posture, torque, and arc size to determine how well a ball is hit. After each swing, it even breaks down how good your contact, rhythm, transition, and swing path are, so you have detailed information on how to improve. You can even customize how it controls by choosing the classic simple swing stick or the more advanced 3-click swing that gives you a much greater and more satisfying level of control depending on your skill level. Like the real deal, the goal in My Career is to compete for points in tournaments, finishing in the top 70 to earn a spot competing for the FedEx Cup. But instead of thrusting you into each event blindly, PGA Tour 2K25 features training and scouting scenarios before each event as a way to earn stat buffs and get the lay of the land. Training scenarios are bite-sized mini-games, such as target challenges or competing to land on the green quickest or to sink the most long putts. Completing these gives your character a temporary boost in specific attributes, which is applied to the coming tournament. It's easy to shrug these off as ways to pad playtime, but it becomes clear how important even a minor buff to drive power can be when you start playing on higher difficulty. It can quite literally be the difference between landing on the green or going on a beach vacation in a bunker. Practice rounds also give you an edge for the coming tournament, letting you play and feel out the specific run and shape of every course just before competing. It is so satisfying to strategize for a course just like the pros would. Not every new feature in My Career lands on the fairway though, especially the new personality and popularity mechanics. We've all seen this before in other games like Madden and EA Sports FC. Your pro spends time off the course gaining influence with fans, developing a following, and forming a personality based on the answers they chose in conversations and interviews. While this is a well-meaning effort to give My Career a bit more flair and make you feel like the belle of the ball, the system feels just as pointless as it does in other games. All conversations are done through unexciting text and don't have an effect on the actual gameplay, so it just feels unpolished and like a poor use of time. The actual way to get sponsorships and unlock quest lines for XP is simply by doing well at playing golf. This is pretty easy to do at first because the default settings for PGA Tour 2K25 feel like child's play. If this isn't your first rodeo, you'll probably blow out the likes of Victor Hovland by under 13 strokes a round. Thankfully, there are custom sliders that let you tune everything from CPU difficulty to green conditions to even the weather. The difficulty took the most time to experiment with because it was hard to find the right percentages to match skill levels and the results seemed uneven. In some games, one golfer would score 10 under the second closest AI rival. However, adjusting weather and course conditions to randomize the playing field ironically started to feel much more level. Either everyone benefited from the smooth greens and shining sun, or everyone suffered the whipping winds and slick surfaces where the ball glides way too fast across them. The dynamic option, though, is the best addition to My Career since 2K23. With this, you can choose the number of holes you want to play within a course and which specific ones, and any skipped holes will be simulated. A full 18 is all well and good most of the time, but having the option to shorten the time commitment for some rounds by simming dynamically is a nice touch. Microtransactions are unfortunately still present in PGA Tour 2K25, but mercifully they are mostly cosmetic. Yes, you can dump real money into making your player a superstar stat-wise and decked out with flashy clothes right off the bat, but you'll also earn upgrade points and different outfits at a decent clip by completing tournaments, so they aren't entirely necessary and are less objectionable than what 2K has been doing in its casino-like approach to NBA 2K in recent years. Playing online with others is still enjoyable, since this isn't a sport where you're being dunked on by someone who can run faster and jump higher just because they paid extra. The same online modes from 2K23 return, including the classic 4-ball. Nothing beats competing against both your partner and the other team, as the game feels more competitive, fast-paced, and interactive than going against AI. This mode is the next best thing to being out on the course with your buddies competing in real life. Ranked and casual games also let you choose between swing stick and 3-click lobbies and select which gameplay features and aids you want off and on to make sure everybody's on the same page. It's also notable that Societies mode now offers cross-play features so you and your friends can schedule asynchronous events regardless of platform differences. With substantial changes to how it looks and plays, PGA Tour 2K25 feels like a different game from its predecessor. The new swing mechanics, paired with the significantly improved graphics, makes for a much more realistic ambiance, even with a lethargic performance by the announcing team. The highly customizable My Career campaign mode shines as one of the most enjoyable parts, even though it has a tacked-on personality system, occasional unnecessary connectivity issues, and of course microtransactions. PGA Tour 2K25 is still a few strokes behind EA Sports PGA Tour as the best golfing simulator around, but if it continues to improve like this with each new iteration, we may see it close that gap relatively soon. For more on the latest sports games, be sure to check out our reviews of EA Sports FC 25 and Madden NFL